Everyone already knows 2001: A Space Odyssey is a masterpiece. I really like the movie, it has beautiful visuals, but I think far too underrated is the sequel, 2010, The Year We Make Contact. I had never seen this movie. I actually owned it on Blu-ray for some reason. I was going through my old collection, setting up a Plex server, and realized I'd never watched this movie. And so I turned it on. 2010 is really, really nice as far as movies go. 2001 is beautiful, but it's kind of obtuse, it's kind of slow. It doesn't always make sense as a literal story. There's bits and pieces along the way, but it's very artsy in a way that I find kind of off-putting sometimes. 2010 is the opposite of that. This is very much a straightforward, linear story, beginning, middle, and end, and I quite enjoyed it. The visuals aren't as breathtaking as 2001, so it's a little weaker in regards to the cinematography, but the acting, the characters, the plot, everything kind of makes sense and is easy enough to follow, and it is a sequel to 2001. Hal is back, everything just kind of continues. This is part of the same story, the same narrative. It's based on a book series, so that makes sense as well. There's other books in the series. In fact, there's 2 more after 2010 that continue the story from there. Those were never made into movies that I'm aware of. Maybe we'll see them one day, but 2010 is a nice surprise. If you're looking to scratch that 2001 itch, you want the space opera, space adventure without it being Star Wars or Star Trek or anything too extravagant, 2010 is and could be that movie for you. I really enjoyed it. Now there's some parts where it does get a little bit slow, a little bit plodding with kind of just going through the motions, and I would say that by the end of it, it wasn't some grand revelation or some incredible experience, but it was quite nice. I would imagine most of the ratings of this movie in terms of user scores and star ratings are probably pretty accurate. It's like a decent movie and worth watching if you can find it and you want to take the time to sit down and enjoy a good movie from 1984. Directed by Peter Hyams, which certainly doesn't have this Stanley Kubrick effect. Kubrick gets held up in such a high regard as some amazing filmmaker, director, and that is true, but there's plenty of good movies directed by other folks that you maybe have never even heard of and maybe have never even given the consideration to watch. So consider this encouragement to do that. 2010, quite enjoyable. I liked it. My kids liked it. It was a lot of fun. And even though the visuals are a little bit lesser than 2001 in terms of special effects and all that, it still was quite nice. Really good shots. And I just liked the fact that it had a real story. I didn't have to sit around and watch apes bang around on sticks and stones for 15 minutes, which is fine for 2001, but truly 2001 is a kind of a chore in some parts until it gets to the good bits, and then those are the good bits with Hal, of course. And then we just kind of go off the rails there towards the end where it gets very artsy-fartsy and we're seeing a lot of colors and flashes in space. And if you're into that sort of psychedelic trip, by all means, 2001 is your movie, and I do like it. It is a masterpiece and held in such high regard for so many reasons, but I think all of the criticism of 2001 is warranted. 2010, it's a totally different story in terms of feedback and critique. If you could somehow combine the two movies, take the visuals, the spectacle of 2001, combine it with the narrative and kind of the acting, the characters of 2010, you'd have quite a nice, remarkable movie. So maybe we'll see that one day for the sequels, because like I said, there's 2 more stories after this that could be made into movies, and I think it's like 2060 something and then 3001. Like this plot, I mean, people think Dune is certainly a bigger story, that's for sure. But this one continues. There's 4 books that I'm aware of. Arthur C. Clarke, 2010, go check it out. I always loved that the dolphin pool grotto in the living room, dining room area. So cool. They have dolphins in their living room. Criminally underrated film. Absolutely. One of the biggest crimes in cinema history is how underappreciated this film is. It really is good. It's just a good story. It works well as a sequel. I saw this movie on a date when I was in high school. I had read 2001 and was pumped for this movie. I wasn't disappointed. I think it's a great flick. Agreed. I love the living room set with the dolphin pool. It really makes an impression to have dolphins in your living room. Something's going to happen, something wonderful. Still so inspiring and gives me chills. And a little spooky, a little creepy. There's something about horror that isn't necessarily scary that I really like. More disturbing, maybe thought-provoking, kind of the cosmic horror, I guess. Sometimes it's just in the way voices sound or the way scenes are shot and edited. It gives it a kind of darkness that I think is actually quite enjoyable in a few parts. It's very easy to handle. It's nothing that disturbing or scary. It's nothing gory or anything like that. But there's just a little bit of a spookiness that I like. Roy Scheider, one of my favorite actors, had a lot of great films. Blue Thunder, Jaws, this one. 2010, the year we make contact. This was a very good movie. Peter Hyams did a good job. It doesn't get nearly the credit it deserves, and I think for whatever reason, 2001 has gotten so much of the attention, probably Kubrick, of course, but this is really, really solid. The best sci-fi film ever, in my opinion. That is high praise. I don't know if it's the best sci-fi film ever, but it's up there. It's really good. That intense arrow breaking sequence with Floyd comforting the terrified young Russian while the vessel became a fireball skirting Jupiter's atmosphere, and the brilliantly executed and detailed probe scene were standouts. I didn't really actually care for the arrow breaking sequence that much. It's just a lot of, just shaking. But there were other sequences in the movie that I found far more enjoyable and kind of that tension of what's going to happen. Something wonderful is going to happen. Fun fact, Easter egg, in the scene when Dave Bowman's spirit goes to visit his mother and the nursing home, you see a nurse reading Time magazine, and on the cover of the magazine you see images of Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick. What a nice little nod, a little Easter egg. This film really suffers being the sequel to one of the most influential films of all time. It's like being tasked with writing a sequel to Les Miserables or painting a Mona Lisa Part 2. You're just damned from the start, and I have to feel for the cast and creative team. Good work that was never going to be appreciated living under 2001's shadow. Maybe that's the case, but the fact that their books as the original source material would give you some indication that, hey, this is all part of the same thing. It should be I don't know. I wasn't around in 1984 to know exactly what the release was like. And it did come quite a bit after 2001, so there's that gap. I don't know. Incredible film. I just saw it in 70mm on a massive screen when it first came out. It's more emotional and human than the first film. Absolutely. That is one of the things that is missing from 2001. It's so dry, it's so stark and bleak and just clinical, technical. This has kind of heart and soul to it in a way that is more traditional from a storytelling perspective, but in a way that works. We want those connections with our characters. We want to feel like we know what it'd be like to be them in that situation, especially someone who's leaving their wife and their son and they don't know if they're coming back. Kind of like the Odyssey maybe, but this is not the Space Odyssey. This is The Year We Make Contact. Yet or still retains some of the mystery of its predecessor. This was a good movie, not 2001, but still very entertaining in my opinion. I think that is an opinion widely shared. I couldn't believe there was a sequel to 2001 and didn't know about it until recently. What an amazing film. I'm amazed how most people have no idea this film even exists. It's sad that more people don't talk about it. Epic film, which is why I decided to talk about it, because it is one of those, even though I owned it on Blu-ray for 20 years probably, who knows how long I've had that disc, I still never got around to watching it. I'm glad I did. I know it gets annihilated by the beauty and success of 2001, but it's a effing good sequel, man. I really enjoy it. Absolutely. It's actually a very good film in its own right, and Peter Hyams had Kubrick's blessing and cooperation. It was just always going to be a challenge to make a conventional narrative sequel to the greatest movie ever made. 2001, in my opinion, is not the greatest movie ever made. It's a technical marvel. It is a feat of filmmaking. It is a masterpiece in its own regard, but it is not the greatest movie ever made. Can we appreciate how the trailer gives away no real spoilers and still gives you a great setup to the story? Well, this that we're watching was a redone trailer in 1080p. I don't know if it's a shot-for-shot remake of the original trailer. Trailers come in all shapes and sizes. They evolve over the years, so who's to say what the original trailer was? But hey, this one, go check it out. Definitely worth your time, and it's not going to spoil anything. All these worlds are yours except Europa. Attempt no landing there. Yes, yes, yes. Still can't believe this isn't on 4K disc yet, unfortunately. Full of valid science and with deep meaning and a message. I loved this movie. Best part was when Bowman talked to Floyd. Yes, that's kind of the spooky. We've got some ghost spirit, base, astral projections, something's going on there. It's a manifestation. Good stuff. Very underrated and forgotten film. It should be one of the best sci-fi movies of the 1980s. I first saw it in theaters when it first came out, then again in the late 1990s on Turner Classic Movies. They rarely show it on television. What struck me about the movie, besides being an exciting movie, is the great acting performances of Roy Scheider and Helen Mirren. Those two really elevated the movie. Forgotten but great 1980s film. We're gonna need a bigger ship. I got chills, thank you. I was 13 when I saw this in theaters summer in 1984. This movie was a perfect sequel that I'm especially fond of revisiting at least once a year. Go check it out, it's worth your time.